I stood in our driveway, grease still caked under my fingernails from the 10-hour shift I'd just finished. Bella was loading her final bag into a shiny black sports car I'd never seen before. The engine purred like it cost more than I made in 6 months. She didn't look sad. She didn't even look conflicted. She looked relieved, like she'd been holding her breath for years and could finally exhale. I asked her why she was throwing away 3 years of us. 3 years of late-night conversations and promises about the future. She stopped, turned to me, and laughed. Actually laughed. "Look at you, Frank," she said, gesturing at my oil-stained work boots like they were evidence in a trial. "Vince buys me Gucci. You buy me groceries from the discount aisle. I'm done living on your budget, eating ramen while you save pennies for a house we'll never afford. I'm getting an upgrade." She slid into the passenger seat without another word. The car peeled away, kicking up gravel that stung my ankles. I stood there in the cloud of exhaust, watching my future disappear around the corner. My name is Frank, and I'm the lead mechanic at the best import shop in the city. People trust me with their expensive cars because I'm good at what I do. But for weeks after Bella left, I walked around the garage like a zombie with a wrench. I tried focusing on engines and oil changes, but every time I checked my phone during lunch, there she was. Bella posted photos from yachts with champagne glasses, penthouses with city views, designer shopping bags stacked like trophies. Every caption was some version of leveling up or new chapter. Each post felt like a knife twisting deeper. I felt small, worthless, like I was exactly what she'd called me, the budget option. I started working double shifts just to keep my brain occupied, staying at the shop until midnight, going home only to sleep. I was the guy who fixed things for other people. She wanted someone who owned things, someone who didn't smell like motor oil, someone who mattered. I kept telling myself I'd get over it. I was lying. It had been 2 months when the universe delivered the cruelest joke of my life. A tow truck backed into my shop bay, hauling a rare Italian supercar that gleamed even under our fluorescent lights. I recognized it immediately. It was the same car Vince drove the night he took Bella from me. The tow driver handed me the work order and smirked. "Owner says you're the best grease monkey in town. Insisted you handle it personally." My chest tightened. This was a power move. Vince wanted me to fix his car just to remind me who won. Just to rub his success in my face while I crawled underneath his luxury on a creeper. My boss walked over and told me to take the job. "Customer's always right, Frank. Plus, he's paying triple for rush service." I stared at the car, feeling rage build in my throat like bile. But I grabbed my toolbox anyway. I wasn't going to let Vince see me break. I'd fix his stupid car and take his money. That's what mechanics do. I started working on the undercarriage, sliding beneath the car on my creeper, trying to treat it like just another job. But something caught my eye immediately. The VIN plate on the door jamb looked factory fresh, shiny and new, but the rivets holding it in place were scratched and damaged. Someone had forced them in recently. I've been working on cars since I was 16. I know what I'm looking at. A car this expensive, this rare, shouldn't have sloppy work anywhere. Factory rivets don't get scratched unless someone removes them and puts them back. I rolled out from under the car and walked to our computer. I ran the VIN number through our shop's internal database scanner. The screen loaded for what felt like forever. When the results appeared, my blood went cold. The VIN didn't match the engine specifications. The chassis code was wrong. The production year was off by 2 years. This wasn't just some rich guy's toy. This was a ghost car. A vehicle made to look legal on paper when it absolutely wasn't. Someone had gone through serious effort to hide what this car really was. 5. I was still staring at the computer screen when I heard the sharp click of high heels on the concrete floor. I looked up and saw Bella standing in my shop doorway. She looked different. More polished. More expensive. But also harder, like she'd wrapped herself in armor made of designer labels. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was doing. "Vince wants to know why you're taking so long," she said, looking around the shop like it disgusted her, like she was too good to breathe the same air. "We have an event this weekend. We have a schedule, Frank. This isn't your personal project." She talked to me like I was her employee, like I was beneath her. I wiped my hands on a rag, hiding the fact that my fingers wouldn't stop trembling. "Just waiting on parts," I lied, keeping my voice steady. "Should be done tomorrow." She didn't notice my nervousness. She was too busy checking her reflection in the shop window, fixing her hair, making sure she still looked perfect for whatever fancy life she was living now. After she left, I locked the garage bay doors. I needed to be absolutely sure before I did anything stupid. I grabbed a UV light from my toolbox and slid back under the car. Thieves are smart, but they're not perfect. They usually forget about the original serial number etched into the chassis by the factory. It's hidden, almost invisible, but it's there. I found it under the rear axle, barely visible even with the UV light. I wrote down the number on my arm with a Sharpie and walked back to the computer. I ran it through a public stolen vehicle database. The screen flashed bright red. 2 words appeared. Reported stolen. Miami. My heart hammered in my chest. Vince wasn't a successful businessman. He wasn't some entrepreneur who'd made it big. He was running a high-end chop shop operation, probably moving stolen luxury cars across state lines, revining them, and selling them to people who didn't ask questions. I sat down on the cold concrete floor, realizing I was holding a grenade that could blow up Bella's entire new life. The question was, did I want to pull the pin? I needed to know how deep Bella was in this mess. Was she just a clueless girlfriend, or was she part of it? I went home that night and opened her social media page. She'd updated her bio since the last time I looked. It now read, Director of Acquisitions, Vince Luxury Auto Group. Director of Acquisitions. I scrolled through her recent posts. There were photos of her in a fancy office, signing papers with a gold pen. Pictures of her standing next to cars in a warehouse, holding clipboards and inventory lists. She wasn't just arm candy. She was signing the legal documents. Titles. Bills of sale. Registration transfers. She thought she was running an empire, posting about building wealth and manifesting success, but what she was really doing was signing confessions. Every document with her signature was evidence. She had no idea she wasn't Vince's business partner. She was his scapegoat, the person he could blame when everything collapsed. I felt anger and pity fighting for space in my chest. She'd left me for this, for a life that was about to explode. I ran into them a few days later at a diner where I grabbed lunch between jobs. I was sitting at the counter when Vince walked in with Bella on his arm. He saw me immediately, and his face lit up with that smug grin I wanted to punch off. He called out loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. "Hey! Get the mechanic whatever he wants. Put it on my tab." People turned to look. Bella stood behind him, staring at the floor, refusing to meet my eyes. I stood up, grabbed my coffee, and walked toward the exit. As I passed their table, I leaned down close to Vince's ear, close enough that only he could hear me. "That Italian car has some interesting history," I whispered. "You might want to be more careful with the paperwork." Vince's smile vanished like someone had flipped a switch. His eyes went wide, darting around the room. His jaw clenched. He knew. He knew that I knew. I walked out into the parking lot, leaving him sitting there sweating through his expensive suit. It felt better than any revenge I could have imagined. I couldn't sit on this information anymore. It was eating me alive. I called Detective Miller, a regular customer who brought his old Mustang to the shop every few months. He worked in the auto theft division. We met in an empty parking lot that night, away from cameras and witnesses. I handed him a manila folder I'd put together. Inside were photos of the tampered VIN plates, printouts of the database reports showing the car was stolen, and screenshots of Bella's social media posts showing her signing documents and managing inventory. Miller sat in his car with his dome light on, flipping through the pages. He let out a low whistle. "Frank, we've been trying to crack this ring for 8 months, he said, looking up at me. "We knew they were operating somewhere in the city, but we couldn't find their hub. You just handed us the keys to the whole castle." He told me this was bigger than I realized. Federal case. FBI involvement, millions in stolen vehicles. I felt the weight of what I'd just started. This wasn't just about Bella anymore. This was real. Detective Miller told me to play it cool. They needed to catch Vince and Bella with the cars, red-handed, to make the charges stick. He told me to finish fixing the supercar like nothing was wrong and release it back to them. Act normal. Don't let them suspect anything. The next few days were unbearable. I went back to work, looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes, wondering if Vince would figure it out. Wondering if he'd send someone to hurt me before the cops could move. Every car that pulled up to the shop made me jump. Then Bella posted the invitation on social media. A massive grand opening event for Vince's new luxury showroom, happening that Saturday night. Red carpet, champagne, live music. Local news coverage. She posted photos of the preparations, the cars being detailed and arranged on the showroom floor. Detective Miller called me when he saw the post. "That's it," he said. "That's our trap. They're going to unveil stolen cars on live television." I could hear the excitement in his voice. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Or maybe it was coming too fast. I wasn't sure how I felt anymore. The day before the event, Bella came to the shop to pick up the car keys. She looked stressed, frazzled in a way I'd never seen before. Her makeup was perfect, but her eyes were tired. She made a comment about cash flow issues and how this opening had to go perfectly or everything would fall apart. For just a second, I saw a crack in the armor. I saw the girl I used to love, the one who used to laugh at my dumb jokes. "Bella," I said quietly, stepping closer. "Walk away. Before the opening. Just walk away from all of this." Her face changed instantly. The softness vanished, replaced by pure venom. "You're just jealous, Frank," she hissed. "You want me to fail so I'll come crawling back to your pathetic little life. You want me to be as miserable as you are. It's not going to happen. I'm never coming back to you." She ripped the keys out of my hand and stormed toward the door. I watched her leave, knowing I'd just tried to save someone who didn't want to be saved. Some people have to fall before they'll listen. Detective Miller called me later that night with the final plan. The FBI was coordinating with local police for a full raid. They were going to hit the grand opening the exact moment the stolen cars were unveiled on the showroom floor. Maximum visibility. Maximum evidence. Maximum impact. He told me to stay home and watch it unfold on the news. "You've done enough, Frank," he said. "Let us handle it from here. Stay safe." I drove to Vince's lot the next morning and parked the Italian supercar in the front row, right where they wanted it for the event. I locked it up and walked away. I felt strangely calm. The car was a Trojan horse, and they were about to throw the biggest party of their lives for it. I went home, cracked open a beer, and waited. Saturday night was going to be unforgettable. For once, I was going to sit back and watch someone else's life fall apart. It felt like justice. It felt like the universe balancing itself out. It felt right. Vince came to the shop one last time on Friday to settle the repair bill. He strutted in like he owned the place, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my rent. He tried to pay with a platinum credit card, sliding it across my counter with that same smug smile. I swiped it. The machine beeped. Declined. I tried again, thinking maybe it was a reader error. Declined. Vince's face turned bright red. He snatched the card back like it had betrayed him. "Stupid bank fraud protection," he muttered, fumbling in his pocket. He pulled out a thick roll of cash held together with a rubber band. He threw it at my chest. The bills scattered, fluttering down to the dirty shop floor like leaves. "Pick it up, Frank," he said, staring down at me. "That's more than you make in a month, right? Go ahead. Pick it up." I got down on my knees, slowly. I picked up every bill, one by one. Not because I was desperate, but because I knew something Vince didn't. He was going to need every dollar for lawyers very, very soon. Saturday night arrived. I sat in my recliner with a cold beer, remote in hand, flipping to the local news channel. The grand opening was the lead story. Spotlights swept across the night sky like it was a movie premiere. The camera panned across the showroom, showing rows of gleaming luxury cars. Then it cut to Bella. She was standing on a small stage wearing a glittering gold dress that caught every light in the room. She was holding a microphone, talking to a reporter about their vision and their success. "This is just the beginning of our legacy," she said, beaming at the camera. "We're bringing luxury and excellence to this city." She looked so proud, so confident. Behind her, the stolen Italian supercar I'd fixed was slowly spinning on a raised platform, spotlights making it glow like a jewel. The centerpiece of their empire. Bella had absolutely no idea that federal agents were currently surrounding the building. She had no idea her legacy was about to last exactly 4 more minutes. I took another sip of beer and waited. The reporter was wrapping up the interview, thanking Bella for her time, when the background noise suddenly changed. The music cut out. Someone screamed. Then I heard it clearly through the TV speakers. "Federal agents, nobody move! Hands where we can see them!" The camera jerked violently as the cameraman spun toward the entrance. A dozen agents in tactical gear stormed through the glass doors, weapons drawn, badges flashing. People in fancy clothes scattered like startled birds. I saw Vince in the background trying to run toward the back exit, shoving people out of his way. 2 officers tackled him hard, slamming him face first onto the polished floor. His suit jacket tore, his hands were yanked behind his back. The man who'd thrown cash at me was now crying, begging them to let him explain. The tough guy was gone. All that was left was a scared criminal who'd finally been caught. I leaned forward in my chair, heart pounding, unable to look away. This was better than any movie I'd ever watched. The camera swung back to the stage. Bella was frozen, standing under the spotlight like a deer caught in headlights. She dropped the microphone, and it hit the stage with a screech of feedback that made everyone wince. An agent in a black FBI jacket climbed the stairs toward her. She backed up, shaking her head, holding her hands up like that would stop what was happening. The agent was calm, professional. He turned her around gently and pulled her hands behind her back. I watched the handcuffs click into place around her wrists. The gold dress shimmered and sparkled under the stage lights as she was led down the stairs, crying, mascara running down her face in black streaks. The camera followed her all the way to the door. The news ticker at the bottom of the screen updated in real time. Breaking news: luxury auto ring busted. Owners arrested. Millions in stolen vehicles recovered. I sat back in my chair, exhaling a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It was over. It was finally over. My phone rang at 2 a.m. I was still awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. I didn't recognize the number, but something told me to answer. "This is a collect call from the County Detention Center," an automated voice announced. "Will you accept the charges?" I hesitated for just a second, then pressed the button to accept. "Frank?" Her voice was broken, barely more than a whisper. "Frank, please. You have to help me. They seized everything. The cars, the house, the bank accounts. Vince lied to me about everything. I didn't know, Frank. I swear I didn't know." She was crying so hard she could barely get the words out, choking on her own sobs. "Please. I have no one else. My parents won't answer my calls. I need you. Please." Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted to let her suffer. But another part of me, the part that had loved her for 3 years, needed to see this through to the end. I told her I'd come in the morning. I drove to the county jail just after sunrise. The visitation room was cold and smelled like disinfectant. I sat at a small booth separated by scratched plexiglass, waiting. When the door opened and they brought Bella in, I barely recognized her. No makeup, hair tied back in a messy ponytail, wearing a gray jumpsuit with a number stenciled on the chest. She looked small, broken. When she saw me, her eyes lit up with desperate hope. She practically ran to the phone, picking it up with shaking hands. "You came," she breathed. I knew you still loved me. I knew you wouldn't abandon me." She leaned closer to the glass. "Frank, I need $50,000 for bail. My parents won't answer. My friends all blocked me." "You have savings, right?" "You were always good at saving. Please get me out of here and we can talk. We can figure this out together, please." She looked at me like I was her last lifeline. Like I was the only person in the world who could save her. She still didn't understand. I looked at her through the scratched, dirty glass. She still thought she could use me. She still thought I was the same clueless mechanic who'd let her walk all over him. "I didn't bring money, Bella," I said calmly, keeping my voice level. Her face fell. Confusion replaced the hope in her eyes. "I came here to tell you the truth," I continued. "I found the VIN number. I ran the reports. I called Detective Miller. I gave them everything they needed." I paused, watching her process the words. "I'm the reason you're in here, Bella. I'm the one who turned you in." Her jaw dropped. For a moment, she just stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Then understanding hit her like a truck. "You?" she screamed, slamming her hand against the plexiglass so hard it shook. "You traitor! You destroyed my life! How could you? I loved you!" Her voice cracked. "I loved you and you stabbed me in the back!" Guards started moving toward her booth. I just sat there, watching her fall apart. I stood up slowly, feeling the weight of the last 3 months finally lift off my shoulders. "I didn't ruin your life, Bella," I said, my voice steady and calm. "You ruined it yourself the day you decided love wasn't enough currency for you. The day you decided I wasn't enough because I worked with my hands instead of stealing with them. You wanted the expensive life, the upgrade, the designer bags and the penthouse." I picked up my keys from the counter. "Now you get to pay the bill." I hung up the phone and turned away from the glass. Behind me, I could hear her screaming my name, pounding on the barrier, begging me to come back. I didn't turn around. I walked out of the visitation room, through the security doors, and into the bright morning sunlight. I climbed into my truck, the same beat-up truck she'd been embarrassed to be seen in. I started the engine and drove back to my shop. I had cars to fix. I had a business to run. And for the first time in a long time, I had peace.